Hold it. It's fine.
Alright. Before we get started today, I'd like all of you to ask a question. How are you feeling? Some of you might include now feelings of feeling low, unloved, low self-esteem. Those can all be early stages of a poor mental health. Some of you might think, what the hell? I don't have any depression. Like, no way. Well, the thing is, with social media playing more and more a bigger part in our daily lives, it's very important to see the connections between those two. Social media is affecting our mental health. As platforms grow, our self-esteem reduces. It will cause many issues in our today's society, future societies, and in health in general. But why I am credible to tell you about this? Well, let me tell you a little story. A few years ago, I decided to travel around the world. And my journey brought me to a little town called Whistler in Canada. When I first got there, I was like, what am I gonna do here? There's nothing to do, but then I started going outdoor, and I did so much stuff outside. My screen time reduced to like 45 minutes. It was nothing. At the same time, I was working at night as a bouncer. So every single night, I would talk to hundreds of people. 2 years later, I came back home because of COVID. I was sitting in my room, and I had nothing to do then. Well, being on social media, right? And I came here. That was my dream ever since. And I was so happy being here, but at the same time, I couldn't explain. I was having this feeling of loneliness, not being at the right spot, not being almost like worth it enough of being here. And I just couldn't explain to myself, where did this came from? So how can each one of you benefit of listening to me today? First of all, I want to explain to you what is mental health. What are the goods and bads of social media? Then, I would like to tell you a little bit more of how is social media affecting us. And lastly, how can we improve our mental health to be more happy and more positive, so that you can each one and take something away. Now that I've covered what we're going to talk about today, let me dive right into what is mental health. Mental health is the ability to enjoy life, to be happy, but it also is the ability to learn, adapt new things, be happy or negative, whatever emotions you have in uncertain situations, and just overall handle things very well. That's how the National Source of Diseases Center states mental health. They also state lately more and more people developing a very poor mental health. But why is social media good or bad? Well, the good things are social media gives a voice to the voiceless. As Dr. Jacqueline Johnson, who is a certified psychologist, states, through social media, youngsters who struggle with social skills and anxiety can express themselves. Meaning, there's an opportunity for people to express themselves. For an example, we have the LGBTQ+ community. We have people who face abuse, sexual assault, loneliness. We can exchange with each other, which is great. But many of us sadly experience the bad things of social media, which can be categorized in 3 things. We have low self-esteem, we have addiction, and cyberbullying. Which brings me to my second point of today. How are we affected? And what are the consequences? How are we affected? Let's start off with low self-esteem. Well, low self-esteem is nothing that's just going to come one day. You wake up and know, oh yeah, today I have low self-esteem. No. We can connect it almost to this feeling of, let me give you an example. We uploaded a picture. And uploading this picture gives us this rush. We're seeing likes coming in, we're seeing comments coming in, but all of a sudden we start comparing. Oh, this person has more likes. Oh, this guy has a better body. Oh, where the hell is he traveling? Many of us keep forgetting though that a beautiful smile, white teeth, no pimples is just one app away. The thing is, this is just the start of a low self-esteem. The 2018 published book, Limiting Social Media, Decrease Loneliness and Depression by Melissa G. Hunt, a psychologist and professor at the Pennsylvania University, high social media usage increases rather than decreases feeling of loneliness, social discomfort, and a disorientated self-image. Which brings me to addiction. Addiction is connected to the low self-esteem, but there's also another very common factor. Why are we addicted to social media? It's called, recently I learned the word FOMO. It was called fear of missing out. Many of us are like, oh no, what's going on? I can't miss out on social media, when ultimately gets into this habit of constantly checking our phone. Justin Haley, an author of multiple books, including Social Media and Young People, is stating spending excessive amounts of time repeatedly and aimlessly on social media is called addiction. In his book, he also states that all of us, but a lot of us, spend more than 8.5 hours a week on their phone, have screen time, including social media usage. And all of this is a lot of really that affects our mental health. Bringing us to cyberbullying. Cyberbullying can come in many different ways. It can come in sending harmful texts. It can come in just sending stuff out that we're not supposed to do, that we don't have allowance, and it affects people more than we think. And many people forget cyberbullying online often transitions into offline bullying. Now we talked about how are we affected, but what is the consequences? We have two things: self-harm and depression. Self-harm can come in many different ways. It often relates to this, we create this self-image, how we have to look. We hear today how we all want to achieve a dream body, how our screen time really is super high and we always see those perfect images. The thing is, what is happening, we can't live up to those high expectations. So people start harming themselves. It can be things to body harm, cuts, it can be eating disorders, it can be also aggression, or even unhealthy sex practices. It can be many things. Ultimately, all this energy and stress that your body has going through can relate in depression. Recently, we have found out that mental health, poor mental health, can also affect our physical health in ways of we have higher heart rates, we have a higher risk of strokes, we have a higher risk for diabetes, and again, this has been researched by multiple websites, including News Medical Today or the National Center for Diseases and Prevention of Health Promotions. Now I told you a lot about how we are affected, but let's get some positive stuff in. How can we get out of this situation? Well, firstly, the very first important part of improving our mental health is being aware. Being aware of what is happening to us, what is happening, why are we feeling the way we do. The University of Pennsylvania suggests following strategy. You place yourself on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being very depressed. Then you're reducing this screen time 15 minutes each week. Next week, you're going to take a look at yourself. Where are you on this scale? Are you still the same number? You increase, you decrease. Obviously, this is just one strategy of many. For some of you, might meditation work. For some of you, deleting social media completely, getting medical assistance, many other things will work. But what each one of us can do is acknowledging that mental health issues is serious and taking it serious. Which, coming to an end for today's takeaway is, we have proven today that social media is affecting our mental health. As I said, as the platforms grow, our self-esteem will reduce, will lead to issues in our today's and future society. We also learned today what is mental health. We learned the goods and bads. We learned the social media trap, and we learned how we get out of this trap, at least somehow. I'm very aware of the fact that in the future, our screen time will not reduce. It will most likely increase. So it is very important for us that we create the surrounding for our future generation that allows open communication without judgment or any fear to talk to us. Now again, think about the question that I asked at the beginning. How are you feeling? My goal of today was that you may understand your feelings better that's going inside of your head. And ultimately, I want to leave you with the question, if you could run any social media company, what would you change?